Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Without Having Kicked a Ball. It's that time again where we delve into a football frenzy and dissect the top four divisions. Tonight we are thin on the ground, but we've still got a lot to go through. To help me with that is Mr. TubeMix. Hello.
Hello there, Ben. Yes, although we're thin on the ground, the show must go on as the saying goes. So, yeah, let's jump straight to it.
Yeah, exactly. Well put, Will. So on this occasion, we thought there's no better place to start at the London Stadium, West Ham v United. Usually we would talk first about the game, but seeing as it's a breaking news story, Ten Hag's departure for United, we're going to start there. So first off, give me your thoughts, Will.
Well, as I said to you off air, it kind of did surprise me and it kind of didn't surprise me. I thought if Ten Hag was to go, it would have been in the international break. But then the international break went, and then Ten Hag was still in charge. So I thought, oh, well, they'll probably give him till Christmas now. I mean, to be honest, that would make most sense. And then my mum told me, well, have you heard Ten Hag's got the boot? And yeah, it did catch me by surprise because I was absolutely 100% convinced they would give him until Christmas. But no, he's out the door. And to be honest, if you look at their results, I mean, 14th is a really poor position. Even David Moyes and Louis van Gaal weren't, in 14th, were they? So that tells you that something has really gone desperately wrong there. And I'd be interested to see who they get next. Obviously, Ruud van Nistelrooy will be in charge at least temporarily. Let's see if he can sort of at least get some spirit and sort of lift the gloom. And we'll see.
Yeah, thanks for that. Well, you raised some good points there, and I think seeing as we're thin on the ground, I've got quite a few things to say about this, and because we're low on numbers, I think it's come at a good time, really. So first off, I want to say you raised a point about the league position, and when you look at it, 14th, you think something's got to change,
Yes.
something's got to give. And I feel like it did. I feel like everyone knew it was coming. The pressure on him mounted and mounted, and that isn't sustainable.
No.
And my view is that Ten Hag was far from blameless. He made some questionable decisions. He made some questionable comments. He got his tactics wrong at times. He set us up structurally wrong.
There's only so many times. Sorry to interrupt you, Ben, but there's only so many times you can blame it on, defend yourself, because they won 2 trophies, and he kept time and time again. It was almost comical, really, how he kept bringing that up. Really dumb.
Yeah, you raise a good point there again, because Ollie, when he was manager, he said that if you win 2 trophies, I mean, if you win trophies as a manager, of course it's good. Everyone knows that, but at the same
you've got
time,
to build on that.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Because if you don't build on it, it sort of masks what's going on at the club.
Yeah, papering over the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what has happened with Ten Hag. The other point I wanted to make on the sacking was that uh, I said my piece on Ten Hag, but now I want to move on to the players and say, for me, that's where most of my blame lies. Because yes, don't get me wrong, you can have people saying it's now the majority of Ten Hag's squad. And if they say that, that's right. But for me, you've also got to question the mentality of the players. If you look this season, how many times in games we've capitulated, how many times in games we haven't converted our chances, and it's come
Conceded
back.
goals and leaking goals as well. So
Yeah, exactly. And all those scenarios are on the players.
United's
You know,
defence, sorry to interrupt you, Ben, but it's like a sort of wonky bridge that has just about stayed up, but it's
yeah.
not very far from crumbling away.
Well, yeah, and that doesn't just go for the defence. It goes for the whole team, in my opinion, because when the going gets tough, you want players to stand up and be counted. And
Fight
I
for
don't
you, yeah.
exactly, and I don't think we see that enough at United. I think it'd be interesting to see what happens next, as you mentioned, and that seems a good place to go because in the past sort of day or so, it's news has broke that Ruben Amorim, the Sporting Lisbon head coach, looks very, very likely to become Ten Hag's successor.
Did
Um,
Amorim work with Bruno Fernandes when he played for Sporting? Sorry, Ben.
potentially, potentially.
Right.
But that's something else is going to. United have a very good relationship with Sporting.
Well, they
Obviously,
bought Cristiano Ronaldo from them back in
yes,
2003, so
we did. We also bought Nani from them. We bought Bruno Fernandes from them, and now it looks like we're stealing their manager. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the new manager, Will, but if
well,
you
I don't
don't,
really know much about Amorim. I mean, I've seen his name, but I don't really know too much about him to give an opinion at all, really. But yeah, no, if he is the next manager, then yeah, it's going to be interesting. But I said to you off air, well, in fact, you said to me that clearly, if it is true and Amorim is officially confirmed as United manager, then clearly they've already had someone in mind and had them lined up. In which case, really, it's not a good idea to sack a manager unless you've got someone specifically lined up. And if they have, then yeah, obviously that was a very clear decision. But also, you don't want to. At the same time, you don't want to rush it as well. And
yeah,
Ineos and Sir Jim Radcliffe will really want to make sure they get this decision right and to take their time in doing that. Sometimes, even if it means waiting until, the end of the season and the summer to bring in a new permanent manager, it's far better to take your time and assess your options rather than get a quick appointment and rush it and it not go well.
you definitely raise a good point there because uh, Ten Hag has obviously been sacked. We all know that now. And this appointment, as you say, Uh, it's on the face of it a very exciting appointment. He's a young manager at only 39 years of age. He's got good pedigree, as you say. I don't know too much about him, but that's enough for me to be happy with the appointment. But as you say, and I think that's the key thing, they have to get this appointment right. They have to, because the way in which Ten Hag has been sacked, you'll have a lot of people saying he should have been sacked at the end of last season, because what's the point going into 2 months of the season and then starting the cycle again? So
Yeah,
in
which is
that
very
case,
valid. Yeah,
yeah, exactly, it is valid. So in that case, as we've said, they have to get this appointment right, because as a United fan, I'm sick to death of this cycle
carousel, isn't it? Basically.
continuing. Exactly that, a carousel. So yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see.
Moyes,
As you
Van Gaal,
said,
Mourinho, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Yeah, and now Ten Hag, being sacked. So
yeah, exactly. Um, on Amarin, um, as you said, it's Ineos have acted very fast, and I suspect he will be formally announced within the next day or two.
although
Meaning,
until it's officially confirmed, this could just be, these could just be rumours. So until it's officially confirmed, I say treat it with a pinch of salt.
yes, and usually I would, but the only reason I'm not is because I don't know whether you've seen this, but Sporting have come out and basically said they are allowing him to go to United.
Oh
So
right, okay. So they've got permission to. They've been granted permission by Sporting to talk to him. Right. Okay. Well. In that case, then. Well, yeah. It's if they can come to an agreement, then yes, it will be officially confirmed. Yeah. Well, we'll
yeah,
wait and see. Talks could break down, and could be Van Nistelrooy until well, at least Christmas or maybe until the end of the season. So until it's officially confirmed, then yeah, we'll have to wait to see. But there's no reason why talks should break down. So
yeah, exactly. And just on that point there, the headline that I've got open at the minute on the Sky Sports app said,
yes,
says Amarim could be Man United boss in time to face Chelsea. So
that would be a very quick turnaround.
if that does come to fruition, I tell you what, Will, obviously I'll be there for the Chelsea game, and
Yeah.
the atmosphere will be very good.
Yes, it will be. Yes, I mean, if they manage to get him in time for that, then and tell you what, is there any bigger game that you could be thrown straight into in the deep end? So yeah,
I know, yes, yeah, you're right.
especially with the way Chelsea have picked up, as we will go into, as we go into the results. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
So now, what I want to ask you, Will,
Yes,
is obviously we usually touch on the game, but
yes.
because we've touched on Ten Hag's departure and Amarim's imminent arrival, so it seems. Do you want to touch on the game and give me your thoughts, or do you want to move on?
I think. Well, I think we'll talk a little bit about the penalty it was given. I didn't think it was a penalty. I watched it on Match of the Day too. Micah Richards and Stephen Warnock didn't think it was a penalty either. I thought it was too soft for a penalty.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. As I said to you off air, I've never been so angry at a football game in my life. I was that angry that my vision went funny and I started to see green dots. Now to the average people listening to this, they'll probably find that funny. But that's how football can get you, and
Yeah, it's the passion, isn't it? Really.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the worst refereeing decision I've seen this season. I still can't believe it, and ultimately, I don't think it would have had an impact on Ten Hag's job
No.
because I think he was a dead man walking anyway. The
Yeah, well,
only
I
other
thought I thought watching the Fenerbahce game, I thought when they conceded to the Fenerbahce goal, and I thought, well, yeah, maybe this might be one step too far for Ten Hag. So yeah,
yeah, and just one more thing from me before we move on is that I want to touch on the fact that in the first half, we had chances to be out of sight at least by, let's say, 3-4 goals, and
yes,
we weren't. So again,
not
that's on
clinical enough.
exactly, and that's been the story of our season.
Yeah,
Again, that's on the players, and again, it's a frustrating thing to be labelled with. But if we took our chances, obviously the VAR moment would have been irrelevant.
yes,
But
absolutely, I agree with you there.
but that's that game closed. So
Yes,
now we will move on to another game on Sunday, which was
massive
played at
game.
played at the Emirates. Massive game, as you said, massive for the title race this early on, and that was played out between Arsenal and Liverpool. So, give me your thoughts, Will.
Well, they'll be hoping that the injury to Gabriel is not too serious because Gabriel has been really important along with Saliba, who was obviously suspended after his red card. And yeah, they'll be hoping those absences won't be too long. And yeah, Arsenal really could have done with winning this one because, uh, with City winning and yeah, and obviously Liverpool were, have been top of the table in recent weeks as well. So it was a really important game, and yeah, they blew it. They slipped up.
Yeah, they did. I think you raised good points there for me. Obviously, a big boost having Saka um,
Yes,
back fit, and obviously,
and you're in Timber as well.
yeah. Sorry, forgot about him. He's another good player, important player. But Saka obviously getting the ball rolling with the scoring, an
Yeah, that
emphatic
goal was
finish.
it was a good goal, wasn't it? Saka's goal. Huh?
It was, yeah. And from there, I was expecting them to sort of put a stamp on proceedings, and they didn't really, obviously.
No, it was a
Uh,
funny game, wasn't it? I suppose a draw was maybe the a fair result. I think, and I think Van Dijk said that as well. And yeah, because both teams were not exactly clinical, were they? Too
no,
much.
especially in the second half, I thought it was thought it was a bit flat from both teams, really. As you said, I feel like for Arsenal, it was important. They got back to winning ways. They didn't do that. And as Jamie Carragher said, an interesting thing here, and I'm going to get your opinion on it actually. He said Arteta is turning into Mourinho as opposed to Guardiola. Now, a few weeks ago on this show, we were praising him with the
yes,
dark.
yes, that was when I went crazy over the dark arts comment, wasn't it? And,
Yes, it was. But we were praising Arsenal and Arteta for going.
They found a different way to win, which you do need to sometimes.
Yeah, yes, and we also praised them for going to the Etihad and getting a draw. But what I want to ask you is, do you think he's more like Mourinho than Guardiola? Do you agree with Jamie Carragher's comments?
Well, I can see where he's coming from. I'm not sure. I mean, yes, the two recent games when they've obviously parked the bus, but I think it's too early to say. I think you've got to generally see across the season. You know, it might be that they go back to winning ways this weekend, and if that's the case, then yeah. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, for me,
there's not enough evidence for me to call him like Mourinho Junior in a way. So
no, exactly. I think that's fair enough. For me, my take on it is, I think Arsenal and Arteta have to be careful.
Yes, because they do have to be careful. They do have to win their next game, really.
Yeah, they do. And I say they have to be careful because although finding another way to win games or upset opponents, whatever it may be.
It's okay if you do it occasionally, but you can't really do it all the time.
No, and although you can praise the dark arts or praise their adaptability, you know, when they got out in front, you would expect them to put a stamp on the game, as I said,
yes.
and they didn't do that. From a Liverpool perspective, again they were flat. They didn't really showcase themselves like we know they have been doing under Slot. Having said that, the Emirates is a tough place to go, and I think you say, in terms of a draw, who would be happier? I'd say Liverpool.
Probably Liverpool, yeah.
Yeah. We're in agreement on that, but as you said, it's important for Arsenal to win the next game and get a winning run together because, as we said a few weeks ago on a previous episode, the league now, in terms of who's going to win it, it comes down to such fine margins.
Yes.
So there's hardly any room for error. There's hardly any room for error. Sorry. Now, I think if I just go and look at the table, Arsenal are 5 points behind City.
I think they're already. Third, aren't they?
They're third, yes. 5 points behind City, 4 behind Liverpool. Now, for me, I'm not saying they can't.
It's still quite early though, isn't it? I mean, it's not even Christmas, and even 5 points is not too bad. So, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's still early and things can change, but obviously City are still unbeaten. And when
Yes,
when you when you talk about this margin for error, if they're not careful, there's going to be too many points to claw back. So for Arsenal, it's important they go on a winning run again. Just before we move on to Brentford and Ipswich, someone has joined us after a few weeks out. It's been a long awaited return, and that is Mr. Sam Taylor. Hello, Sam. How are you?
Hello, Ben. Hello, Will.
hello.
Hello, all the followers and listeners and watchers of Without Having Kicked a Ball. It's good to be back on the show,
Great
fresh
to have you back, mate.
from my running with some kangaroos and crocodiles. I'm very pleased to say I live to tell the tale.
Me and Will touched on this earlier, but before we move on to Brentford v Ipswich, as a fellow United fan, I want to get your thoughts on the departure of Ten Hag, but not only that, his replacement, which looks likely to be Ruben Amorim from Sporting Lisbon. So what are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, there's two sides to this, and I'll do it as briefly as I can. But because I know we've still got a lot to do in the show in a short space of time. But yeah, Ten Hag it's a really difficult one because he, he did win us 2 trophies in 2 seasons. And I think if you'd have asked any United fan for that at the start of his reign, we would have taken it. Bearing in mind of being in around the top four in both of those seasons. Now, one of them we were, and one of them we weren't. But even in the one we were, we didn't play well. So we've won 2 cups without really doing a lot. Now, you've got to win them. But you think of the runs in those cups, we were looking to get to the final with the likes of Coventry in the FA Cup final last year. Again, we should have lost, arguably. But yeah, it's ultimately it's not just the performances in the league; it's the performances overall. Yes, there are many clubs that would take the trophies that we've won, but the performances, we've had no style of play. I can't tell you 2.5 years in, even in the first season, what United's style of play was under Ten Hag. Were we a passing team? Were we a counter-attacking team? Were we both? Were we longer ball, more direct? I couldn't tell you. And I think you'd probably say the same, Ben. I couldn't really tell what we were trying to do. And then I think in the first year we kind of got away with it without being brilliant. But the cracks were there. And second year, last season, our midfield got overrun time and time again. I think it was partly tactical, but partly, the personnel as well. And yeah, I think ultimately Ten Hag had to go, which is a shame because we didn't have. We've had a lot of managers. I think this is the sixth time. We're seventh time or sixth or seventh. I'm not sure. Since
Sixth
time that we'll be looking for a new manager, and it's not good. But ultimately, the style of, not even the style of play. Even if we were like long ball, at least would be something. Like, I know that's not really the United way, but we were like stuck in between different styles of play. And ultimately, we were a bit unlucky on Sunday with the result, but it wasn't that result that got Erik Ten Hag the sack. It was just not improving. Like, yeah, and we go on these cup runs or whatever, and we would have taken, I'm sure you, Ben, would have taken 2 trophies in 2 years, but we've progressed with not even getting in the top 4 in both those seasons, but having a style that we could all relate to and
You can't
see.
finish 14th. Sorry to interrupt you, Sam, but that's what I said to Ben. You can't finish 14th when you manage a club like Manchester United. It's unacceptable.
You are right, Will. But even if we're in 14th now, but playing great football and we're just unlucky and missing chances, then I wouldn't accept it. But I wouldn't say let's be getting rid of him. The bottom line is there's been no style of play, and Ten Hag. The thing as well is Ten Hag's a bit deluded. Let's be honest,
Well,
because
yes, every interview he's kept defending himself because, we won this trophy and that trophy. And
not only that, he says, "Oh, we've played well, and we've played well, and we've been awful for 80 minutes." We're under Ten Hag, even in the cups, and I keep referring to them because we won them. So,
and
and we made
he keeps referring to them as well, or kept referring to them.
3 finals in 2.5 years. So you can't look beyond that fact. But the reality is that under Ten Hag, we played in moments. There was no cohesive teamwork. It was
No.
moments from individual players. And eventually, we get battered most weeks for an hour and somehow survive and turn the game around with a last minute goal or whatever and win it. And it
Which is
kept saying,
really concerning if it takes you to go behind to get the players sort of really fired up, really.
and to be honest, yeah, the writing's been on the wall. I'm not for managers getting sacked, and you know, he has won 2 trophies, but there was a lot wrong. And ultimately, I think it's the right decision. Ten Hag was a bit, looked out of his depth, especially last season and this season.
Got very prickly, didn't it? His relationship with the press as well. I don't think that's helped as
He
well.
didn't show that much emotion. He was always the same. But yeah, I don't think he really knew. I'm not saying he didn't know well, I don't think he did know what he was doing, but I could say that about every manager that's been since Fergie, and it can't just be the managers. The club's not right. But one thing I would say on it, just before we move on, is these players, not all of them, because there's been different bits of players coming in, but these players have had, some of them have had Van Gaal sacked, Mourinho sacked, Ollie sacked,
Yeah.
um, and now Ten Hag sacked.
Well,
So
that's what Ben said as well. So, and I agreed with him.
players, I know they're not all the same, but the players are a mismatch of different managers, and ultimately they're not good enough
No.
because the coaching's not been good enough yet. But we like it or not, we're a mid-table Premiership Cup team at the minute. That's what we are.
Well,
That's it.
14th is a mid-table Premier
No,
League team.
no,
I know what you mean, Sam.
we're,
Yeah.
we're a mid-table outfit, and we're not very good. We're not very good, and it can't be just the managers. I think the structure of the football club's obviously changed. You could have argued, even with the situation, give Ten Hag till Christmas, because that's what I said originally.
I thought he was going to be given till Christmas. I said to Ben, sorry, and this will be my last point, Ben, before we move on. I said to Ben that, I thought he'd be, if he was going to be sacked, it would have been during the international break, but then the international break came and went, and he was still in charge. So it didn't surprise me, but it also did surprise me by how fast it happened. Really, I thought he was going to be given till Christmas. Honestly,
But ultimately, I think it's the right decision. Whether you gave him till Christmas or not, I think you could give him till the next millennium, and we'd still be in the same situation. But just to finish off, the players again have got to look at themselves in the mirror, and as players there, they've got to go. Anthony is probably. I mean, I could play better than Anthony.
well, he's not even getting into the team, is he? And Ten signed him, didn't he?
Is a good mid-table centre half, maybe upper mid-table, but not Man United.
There's a lot of aging players, like Casemiro and Christian Eriksen as well. So players past their prime.
Players that we've let go. Now, in a good squad, any good squad that's ever won anything significant league-wise, there's been good players to come off the bench and stuff. I'm thinking about
like Scott McTominay, for example.
Yeah, well, that's the player I'm referring to. But teams in the past, I'm thinking of, a Solskjaer for United.
Juan Mata as well. He was quite good off the bench as well.
And Andy King for Leicester.
We played in their title-winning squad. Sorry, Ben. I know that we're.
So just what I'm saying, just to finish off, we're getting rid of our good squad players who know what it means to play for Man United, and McTominay gave everything. Yeah, he's not the sexiest player in the world, but
even Mourinho liked him, didn't he?
Yeah, well, every manager we had liked McTominay, and that says a lot.
So sexiness, you need a blend. Anyway, so I'm glad he's gone ultimately. Thank you for your service, upside down Ed. But yeah, you can go and put your upside down this somewhere else. Anyway, as for who's coming in next, if the reports are true, it looks like Ruben Amorim, the Sporting Lisbon head coach or manager or whatever you want to call him these days. He is the preferred candidate. I believe they're in talks. For me, and I know we're in 14th and you're thinking that we need a winner, one man came to mind, and that was Thomas Frank. He's young, he's hungry, he's taken Brentford as far as he can, and I think he's a good coach as well. He can coach the players, but maybe right now we just need a proven winner. And Amorim, well, I suppose he's won the Portuguese league and done very well with Sporting, and he's young as well. So yeah, I'm not against
only 39 years.
I'm not against. He's an antique compared to Fabian Herzl, isn't he?
I asked Ben this, Sam. Did he work with Bruno Fernandes when he was at Sporting, Amorim?
I think you just about missed him. Right. That was my take on things anyway, but could be wrong.
Bruno Fernandes signed in January 2020, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, he did.
So, yeah.
Right, anyway, we better move on anyway.
So my preferred candidate would have been Thomas Frank, but ultimately there's things at the football club that have got to change, and you could put Pep Guardiola in charge, and we won't win the league with these players. So ultimately we've spent 100 million. Things are going to change, and the culture at the football club is wrong. Just to quickly mention about the fact that Sir Alex Ferguson is being let go. I mean, that just tells you everything you need to know.
But he's still on the board though. What did he actually do in his ambassador role that was useful, meaningful?
It's not about that. Well, this is an icon of the football club, and you can't just let him go like that.
But he's
Especially
still on the non-executive board. I still fail to see what difference it was having him in this ambassador role.
because he carried Man United, he carried the name and the history and the. But anyway, that's a separate issue. So so we'll see. But I personally, we got to be aiming with this squad top. I don't even think top 10. Sorry, top 6, top 8. I reckon. With vast improvement in the play. Anyway, so that's my view on Upside Down, Ed. So, yeah.
Yes, well, thank you for that. So, and I'm gonna come to you first, Will, for this next game. Give Sam a break from talking for a little bit, but we're gonna go to Brentford and Ipswich now. The final game of the that we're gonna talk about before Will does the results. A game, a 7-goal thriller.
Yes, an amazing game.
Which Brentford came out on top of, winning it by 4 goals to 3. So, what were your thoughts on the game, Will?
Well, as you said, it was a game full of goals, and you know Thomas Frank continuing to do really good work at Brentford. You know, obviously having Wissa fit is good for them as well, showing that they can move on post Ivan Toney. Really good win for Brentford, although for Ipswich and Kieran McKenna, they must be fuming, to concede so late. And Ipswich really could do with a win, couldn't they, now? Because, they're still in the bottom 3. And yes, it's still early, but, now is really coming to the points where when they and Southampton could really do with wins.
Yeah, I think you raised good points there. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Southampton, and we were talking about them and the game against Leicester because they were up 2-0 and ended up losing the game 3-2. Yes. And we were talking about the psychological impact. Now this is very similar for Ipswich. They blow a 2-goal lead and obviously, as you say, not having a win yet. If it continues any longer, they will be down. I know it's early days, but they will be cut adrift because the quality in the Premier League is just...
It's very different from the Championship, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
Leicester, just to say, but Leicester already seem to, because they've also got a lot of their players in their squad played when they were last in the Premier League, so that also counts a good omen for them as well. So
I think
Ipswich don't have really.
Yeah, I think if any of the 3 promoted teams has the best chance of survival, it's definitely Leicester.
Yeah, definitely Leicester. Plus, they've still got Jamie Vardy, but anyway.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution, Will.
Yep,
and those are my thoughts on the game. So I'm going to come to you, Sam. I don't know if you watched it or not, but
I did. I saw the highlights.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts?
Well, there's not a lot to add, really. I agree with everything you've said, boys. I think, well, you made some really good points there about, having that experience in the Premier League. And it's interesting because, again, I know this isn't Premier League football, but in my own sport that I play, power chair football, I've played at the top level, and we're a bit like an Ipswich, you know. We were always like that. I'm now in the Championship, but when I was in the Prem, we were always like that, fighting against relegation. And the step up from the Championship to the Premiership, just like in able-bodied football, was massive. And you'd spend most of your time chasing the game and weren't in control of it. So one thing we always were, we might not score a lot of goals and get beat by the bigger sides, but we were always resolute in defence, which gave us a chance to stay up. Doesn't mean you always will, but it gives you a chance. When you are lower down, the one thing you have to be, and this is what Ipswich are finding, and Southampton and Everton have found earlier in the season, and then they've rectified it, is that you have to be resolute in defence first of all. It's more important about the defence than it is about the attack when you are in their situation, because you're not going to score many goals, so you can't afford to concede many.
Well, of course, yeah. Defence is a really key point, yeah.
That's why I wasn't too worried about Crystal Palace. I'm still not, because even though they were down there, they don't concede a lot of goals.
No.
So ultimately, they'll
It's
get
just a case of being unlucky, like Wolves, really.
Yeah, they did, don't get me wrong, they didn't play well, but they don't concede a lot of goals. He can't be blowing. When you're Ipswich, you can't be blowing a 2-goal lead against Brentford.
No.
Who are better than you, but are going to possibly be down there with you somewhere. Are in that kind of pool of teams. You can afford to blow a 2-goal lead against, a Man City or a Liverpool, or even if you're 2-0 up, yes, it's disappointing, but you kind of accept that because they've got the quality to come back. If you get a result, great.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
No problem. But when you are against teams of a similar level to you,
yes.
you cannot be throwing away leads. Because Ipswich haven't won yet, because most of their squad haven't played in the Premier League or have very little experience, that anxiety is just going to be there, because next time they get a 2-0 lead, they're going to be like, oh shit, it might happen again. Because the other team are going to come at them. And against Liverpool or them, they go 2-0 up, it's like, well, it's
fair enough, they've got the players of quality.
The free hit, kind of. But they're going to be panicking. They're going to be, same with Southampton. Everton seem to have got over that hurdle, but that they've got far more experience. So
yes,
you can't be blowing that kind of lead against sides in and around you. And, Ipswich, it's always going to be tough for them, from minute one to the end of the season. And they're not down by any stretch. But
they need to start getting wins soon.
Yeah, they need to start getting points. A win can completely change the picture for them.
Yeah, because one win and the boost of confidence, it can can change
They
everything.
will. They will, but if you're right, if they carry on, say, another month without getting a win, then even if they get a win, or sorry, even when they get a win, because of course they will win, even when they get a win, like if you're too far away, you think, oh, I've got a mountain to climb.
Yeah,
So,
and
so
and we're already down. You know, you would think that
well,
psychologically.
you're not already down mathematically. Your chances of repeating and repeating and repeating, if you're that far back, say you're 10 points adrift just after Christmas, 12 points adrift,
Yes,
you
what I meant was not mathematically, but I meant in their heads. You know, yes, we're down. We've got no chance.
or you might think, oh, I've got to win 8 games on the trot to even have a chance.
Yes.
And that's just not going to happen.
No.
So you got to pick up points early, but it's a ride for Ipswich as it was for Luton last season, and good luck to him. But same for that. I mean, Southampton. I know we're on about Ipswich in a minute, but Southampton as well. Some of their errors and the way they continue to refuse to clear the ball even when they're winning is frightening. So these teams, you know, have got to learn that in this league it's brutal, and it just takes a second. But yeah, Brentford. I mean, what can you say about Brentford? I feel Thomas Frank's ready for that next step. That's why I recommended the United job for him.
Yes, that's fair enough.
I
But
think
then
he's
Brentford seem to be a well-run club, so if you're
they
Thomas
are,
Frank, you think, well, no, what, I'll stay here, and it's a better culture
they
here.
are, they are. But I think he's probably taken. Brentford are probably at their max level, near enough. So maybe he'll get a job soon. But yeah, I'm sorry, Brentford fans. But yeah, brilliant for Brentford. Brian and Buemo, he was always in the shadow of the BMW, if you like, when Watkins and Ben Rama were there.
Yes.
Um, now he's shining through, and obviously in the shadow when Tony was there. So I'm pleased for him that he's shining through. And yeah, I do like Brentford. I think they're honest. I think they can mix up their game as well. They can pass it. They can go long. They can, they must be a horrible team to play
They
against.
play a good style of football, don't they?
Yeah, and they must be
Yes.
difficult to play against because they can be very physical as well. Anyway, back to you, Ben.
Thanks for that, sir. Good insight there, and yeah. So now we are moving over to Will for the rest of the Premier League results. Before I jump in and give you the EFL results, so over to you, Will.
And I will give you the latest Caribou Cup scores, shall I, before we finish?
Yes, you
Oh,
can
yeah,
do.
yeah, okay, right. Okay, right, thank you, Ben. So we start with Friday, the 25th of October, and it was Leicester City 1, Nottingham Forest 3. Jamie Vardy in the 23rd minute, assisted by Harry Wiggs. Then for Nottingham Forest, Yates in the 16th minute, and then Chris Wood in the 47th and 60th minute, and E. Anderson in the 47th minute, assisting the
Elliot Anderson.
Elliot Anderson, right,
Elliot.
sorry, thank you, Ben. Assisting Chris Wood's goal in the 47th minute.
A. Anderson.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Right, we move on to Saturday, the 26th of October, and it's Everton 1, Fulham 1. And it was Alex Iwobi in the 61st minute, assisted by Emil Smith Rowe. So, yeah, 2 Arsenal old boys again, and they seem to be doing well for Fulham. And how about this? Beto in the 94th minute, assisted by Ashley Young.
I would have had a bet on that.
Wait. You're
Well
here
done.
all night now.
Manchester City 1, Southampton 0. To be honest, I thought Southampton would be absolutely getting thrashed and put to the swords by City. But no, just the 1-0. Erling Haaland in the 5th minute, assisted by Matthias Nunes.
Who else?
Yeah.
Right, Brighton and Hove Albion 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 2. Danny Welbeck in the 45th minute, assisted by Ruter. Evan
Still.
Ferguson in the 85th minute, assisted by Tarek Lamptey. Your favourite player, Sam, I'm not sure if he still is, but you did like Lamptey.
I love a bit. I love the light he gives the lamp.
And Snorri in the 88th minute. And then Matthias Cunha in the 93rd minute, assisted by Tommy Doyle. Okay, right, we move to Brentford 4, Ipswich Town 3. And Wisser in the 44th minute, assisted by Janolt. Have I got that right?
Yeah, no.
Oh, Janolt, right, okay.
Yeah.
And then he also scored in the 46th minute. Mabuemo in the 51st minute, also scored in the 96th minute. So Damsgaard assisted Wisser's goal in the 46th minute, and then for Mabuemo's 96th minute goal, assisted by Roslev. Not sure if I pronounced that name right.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Okay,
right.
Sammy
For a
Samodic.
change.
Oh, right. Oh, well, that's good for me. Sammy Samodic in the 28th minute, assisted by Hurst. And
Yeah.
there was a red card. Harry Clark was sent off for 2 yellow cards to red in the 69th minute. Liam Delap in the 86th minute, assisted by Davis. Oh, and by the way, Chaplin assisted by Hurst to assist Hurst's goal in the 31st minute. C. Chaplin, quite funny. That yeah, it's like Charlie
Connor.
Chaplin.
It's Connor.
Right.
It's Connor.
And then Aston Villa 1, Bournemouth 1. Ross Barkley in the 76th minute, assisted by Leon Bailey, and Evan Leeson in the 96th minute, assisted by Tavernier.
Tavernier.
Oh, Tavernier, sorry. Right, we move on to Sunday's games. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2. Bukayo Saka in the 9th minute, assisted by Ben White. Then Virgil van Dijk in the 18th minute, assisted by Diaz. Mikel Merino in the 43rd minute, assisted by Declan Rice. And Mohamed Salah in the 81st minute, assisted by Darwin Núñez. Okay, West Ham United 2, Manchester United 1. Somerville in the 74th minute, assisted by Danny Ings. Jared Bowen in the 92nd minute with a penalty. And Casemiro in the 81st minute, assisted by Xerxes. Crystal Palace 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. And it was Matata in the 31st minute, assisted by Eze.
Matata, Akuna.
And finally, Chelsea 2, Newcastle United 1. Jackson in the 18th minute, assisted by Pedro Neto. Who else? Cole Palmer in the 47th minute, assisted by Romeo Lavia. And Isak in the 32nd minute, assisted by Liam Hall. And that...
Lewis Hall.
Oh, Lewis Hall, sorry. And that is your results.
Thank you for that, Will. So, bringing your EFL results, we're going to start in the Championship. It was a game on a Friday night. Portsmouth v Sheffield Wednesday. Portsmouth opening the scoring in the 44th minute, and then Sheffield Wednesday left it late, but claimed the victory. So it goes through Josh Windass and Michael Smith. Sticking with the championship, moving on to Saturday, we have Bristol City v Leeds in a game which finished with no goals, 0-0, the full-time score there. Coventry v Luton next was a game I actually watched on Sky. It was the lunchtime game. Luton took the lead and then doubled their lead and looked in a commanding position to keep their lead. Having said that, Coventry fought back and won the game 3-2. Next up, Watford v Blackburn. Watford continued their decent start to life in this championship, running away with a 1-0 win. Next up, another 0-0. Burnley v QPR. Following that, we have another draw. This time, Derby and Hull finished 1-1. Another draw follows with Plymouth v Preston. This time, it was a score draw. The game finishing 3-3. Preston led 3-0 in that game. It was worth mentioning. So a good fight back by Ipswich.
All the goals for Portsmouth for Plymouth were in the second half, weren't they?
Yes, they were. I mean, tough times for Plymouth recently, plummeting down the table, but showing good character. And I looked at the table the other day, and there's 3 points between them in 20th and 12th place or something like that. So it's not too bad.
I've said on this show before, sorry to interrupt you, Ben, but, Plymouth, they had not a great start. Then they picked up again, and then they seem to have slipped up again. It's been a bit of a weird time for them.
But that's the championship.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what it's going to throw up.
No.
Moving on, Sheffield United v Stoke. The home faithful, the Blades, Sheffield United, ran away 2-0 winners there. Sunderland won again to extend their lead at the top, beating Oxford 2-0. Millwall, Swansea v Millwall next, and it was a win for the away side, Millwall, by 1-0. Completing the games on the Saturday, we have a 0-0 West Brom v Cardiff. On the Sunday was a high-scoring game, which featured Norwich v Middlesbrough. The score ended 3-3. Now we're going to move on to League One. So starting your League One results, we have Mansfield 1, Birmingham 1. Next up, Reading ran away 1-0 victors at the hands of Bristol Rovers. So that was 1-0 to Reading. Next up, another 1-0, and that is Bolton beating Peterborough 1-0. They left it late to claim their victory. Another 1-0 win goes in favour of Cambridge United. They beat Burton. Next up, 2-2 featured Charlton v Wrexham. An exciting game there. Next up is a team that got relegated last season. That is Huddersfield, winning 2-0 via Exeter. Following that, we have Lincoln 2, Stockport 1. Following that is Steve Evans Derby. Rotherham United winning the game against Stevenage 2-0. Next up, Shrewsbury Town 0, Barnsley 2. And lastly, on the Saturday is Wycombe 3, Leyton Orient 0. So that concludes your League One fixtures. Next up.
What happened? There's Crawley there, and what happened to them?
I don't think. I'll check the Sunday, but I don't think they played. Because you're right, Sam, there is Crawley there, but there's also Blackpool there and Wigan and yeah, they didn't play.
All right, sorry, I just thought. Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, so now we are going over to League Two. Saturday's fixtures. Starting it off, we have Colchester United 1, Salford City 2. A vital win for Salford. Next up, we have a crazy game at the hands of Morecambe v Chesterfield. Chesterfield running riot, winning that game by 5 goals to 2. Next up is a 0-0 between Accrington, Stanley and Walsall. Following that, we have Bradford City 1, Doncaster Rovers 2. Following that is Bromley v Barrow 1 apiece. Carlisle United and Cheltenham Town are next. The away side, Cheltenham, victorious by a goal to 0. Next up is Jordan's beloved Crew going great.
Alex put on a show.
Yeah, you won by 3 goals to 1, beating Tranmere, which I'm sure you're pleased about as well, Sam.
Yes, delighted. I thought we were going to struggle this season, but the Railway man are getting up to speed and flying through the tracks. Anyway, carry on.
Next up, we have Grimsby Town 1, MK Dons 3. Following that, we have a 0-0 between Newport County and Fleetwood Town. I'm not sure if Charlie Adams is still in charge at Fleetwood, but yeah, 0-0 there. Next up, we have Notts County 1, Harrogate 0.
Notts County are the oldest football club in the world, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah, they are. Thanks for that trivia, Sam. Next up, we have Port Vale 3, AFC Wimbledon 2, and to Sam's delight, Port Vale are top of the league.
Boo! Boo! Don't scum.
Concluding your League Two fixtures, we have Swindon Town 1, Gillingham 1. Do you have anything to add about the fixtures before we close?
No, just that all leagues are pretty competitive this year. Yeah, it seems.
Yep, same here. I've not got anything to add. So, yeah, do you want to take us home then, Ben?
Yeah, just before I take you home, I do apologise. I've checked again and I've missed one of the fixtures, so I'll briefly say that. And Sam was right, actually, it was Crawley. So Northampton v Crawley. Northampton came away with a 3-0 victory. So there we go. So my thanks to Will, whose channel this is on. Thank you, Will.
Thank you, Ben. It's been a great show, and yeah, great to have you back, Sam, as well. And yeah, see you next time.
See you next time. And my thanks to Sam, although it was only brief. It's good to have you back.
Easing my way back in. But yeah, great to be back, boys. And yeah, this is getting into the exciting time now, the run up to Christmas. Looking forward to seeing what happens next. And yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty more talking points. I imagine next time we're back on the United situation may have been resolved. So yeah, anyway, really enjoyed it, boys, and great job, Ben. Bring us home.
Thank you. So all that's left to say is don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe to Will's channel. Thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.